Welcome and welcome back to the channel. My name is Chrissie. Welcome back to the Purple Library and to my most anticipated video of the year. Get your snack, get your treats. We about to dive into some Christian fantasy. Since I started the channel in 2021, the genre has literally exploded, or perhaps it's just been my knowledge of Christian fantasy books available to us now, and it's revitalized my reading. And if you're new here and you don't know, Christian fantasy and sci-fi are my favorite genres to read. And it was so hard, especially as a believer, finding something that was not as secular. And I have read some secular fantasy books that I absolutely love. Y'all already know I'm talking about Hob, right? Now to be able to share and recommend some amazing Christian fantasy books, I just thank the Lord. I do want to level set the playing field. I've gotten a lot of questions about how do I know where to start with fantasy? What are some fantastical elements? Like a lot of different questions. So stay tuned to the channel. I am going to be sharing some of my insights into the genre, but I have read a lot of fantasy in my lifetime so far. And so I want to share what I've learned with you, and perhaps that will help you narrow in some of your specific tastes, or let you know, maybe fantasy ain't my bag. Maybe I just want to dibble and dabble. I was inquiring of Holy Spirit what I should do and how I should organize this video, because I've seen a lot of different videos, beginner, intermediate, expert. Felt like I wanted to organize it by commitment level. You see me looking at my notes because, honey, I had to write these notes down. I'm going to break these up into introduction, standard, and deep dive. These three categories can kind of give you a little bit more information about perhaps where your reading preferences are with these recommendations. I don't have these ranked in any particular order. After that, I'm going to share some fantasy books that are currently on my radar and that I hope to get to this year. Adjacent TBRs are the order of the day. For the introduction, books to enter the genre. These books have at least one point of view. They are usually a standalone, or they're a part of a duology, maybe sometimes more than that, but the commitment to more books is very, very low. There is a limited magic system, not as complex as the other two categories, and usually there is some YA themes. Not many adult themes, but again, it just depends on the book. So those are kind of the nuances. Here are my recommendations for this category. Fox by Nadine Brandes. This is a standalone historical fantasy, and I really, really enjoyed this. I gave this 4 stars. I'll do kind of a little bit of a synopsis with these, but I'll try to remember some of it, but the books will be linked in the description below. One point of view, and it deals with color magic endued in different masks. And so I think that's just very fascinating, and I really enjoyed the faith in this. Nadine's writing is just absolutely beautiful. This is my first book by her that I read a couple years ago, and I just had a wonderful time with it. Thomas Fox is turning to stone, and the only cure to the stone plague is to join his father's plot to assassinate the King of England. The gunpowder plot, I believe. Just such a very interesting twist on this part of history with the Winter King. Man, I just finished this. I gave this 5 stars. Absolutely love this book. Of course, is set in winter. You already know I love me a beautiful, amazing winter setting. A village trapped in winter, a tyrannical god, and a girl who would do anything to keep her family alive. It has some magical elements, but it's more so of an allegory magic versus a magic system. So allegory magic kind of bases on biblical allegory, biblical symbolism versus magical elements, far as like fairies or wizards or some. Very low commitment. Everything is resolved in this one book. Absolutely fantastic. Baby girl, Ari baby. Ariandre and the Legend of the Fire Rose. Oh my gosh, this just has everything in it. If there's any book in this section that you haven't read that you want to read, will check all the boxes that will make you fall in love with fantasy. And I love this book so much. I ended up giving it 5 stars, one of my favorites of 2025. Ari never expected that the last thing her mother would ever say to her would lead her to a mysterious manor in the middle of the woods. Desperate and alone, she finds herself at the mercy of the people that live there. But as she tries to figure out why things are happening at the manor, she discovers that there's more to it, and this legend of the Fire Rose lingers as well. And when she finds it shortly after her 16th birthday, she is surprised when its flames don't burn her. Can Ari unravel the secrets of the manor and find the source of the darkness? I did a dedicated reading vlog for this book, so I'll link that in the description description down below so you can see real-time thoughts. Ignite by Kara Swanson. Can Mara survive in a world where the fire in her veins is worth killing for? So this actually deals with magical creatures, one point of view, and we're following Mara, and she is a phoenix. In this world, phoenixes rise and they fall. There is a nuance to it that Mara is trying to discover where her people have gone, and I had a lot of fun with this. I ended up giving this 3 stars. This has that summer, the cold, beautiful, immersive setting as well. There are some magical elements and aspects to this because you have phoenixes, you magical cultures that express, but not as intense. So The King's Feather by Amy Earls. I am about 90% of the way through this at the filming of this video. This absolutely surprised me. This is a portal fantasy, and by that the character starts off in our world, but then she is transported to an adjacent world similar to ours with biblical allegory and fantastical elements. And I just really loved how Amy Earl really transports the reader into this other world, this biblical world, but it has some nuances to earth as well. And I just love the faith in this. It's so inspiring. It has some YA angst as well, and I just had a wonderful time. Probably gonna give this 4 stars, but I wanted to put it on the list because I think this is definitely worth you checking out. Dust, another Kara Swanson. Yeah, I like Kara Swanson and I really enjoy her books. So this is the retelling of Peter Pan, The Heirs of Neverland. This is a duology. Although I didn't really pick up on a lot of faith elements in this, this is a very inspiring read about found family, about hope and faith. Now the series does have a few darker themes to it in regards to inner turmoil and grief, but I really think this is a really good time if you're looking for something more, not so light and fluffy, more on the little bit of a grimy dark end, but not on the deep end. This is an introduction to that. The truth about Neverland is far more dangerous than a fairy tale. Claire believes the world is too dark for magic to be real since her twin brother was stolen away as a child. Now Claire's desperate search points to London and a boy who shouldn't exist. Peter Pan is having a beastly time getting back to Neverland, grounded in London and hunted by his own lost boys. The girl who fears her own destiny is on a collision course with a boy who never wanted to grow up. The Wonderland trial, oh my goodness, Allison in Wonderland adjacent. I have not read the classic, so I'm not really sure how close this lines up to the classic, but I really love immersion of technology and science. It was just fun. I really loved how this author just really blended so many different elements. It's a bit of a portal fantasy, so they kind of jump from current day London into Wonderland, the different trials that they have to go through, a band of friends, and I just really love the different allegorical elements. Again, this is not necessarily Christian per se, but it does have inspirational parts, and you can tell the author is inspired by her walk with the Lord. Allegory does come up a little bit more in the second book. This is part of a duology. I think this is definitely worth you checking out. And last but certainly not least, Raising Dragons by Brian Davis. Dragons are one of my favorite fantastical elements, and when I found that there were stories about dragons in the Christian fantasy genre, say less, I'm already there. This follows a young boy with fiery breath and a girl with dragon wings. Outcast Billy and Bonnie must come together to preserve a secret legacy more than a millennium in the making, and they find their lives turned upside down when they are thrust into a war against evil, a war they didn't even know was being waged. This does have an Arthurian retelling element to it. I love Arthurian retelling. It's one of my favorite fantastical tropes. This is great for middle grade readers and teen readers as well. And the series is fantastic, and the kids are so grounded, and the adults as well. This is just such a fun series. I'm so glad I found it. Ooh, let's stay hydrated. And now for the standard. With the standards, there's usually a medium commitment, usually 1 to 2 points of view. There is usually a duology or a trilogy within these stack of books. The magic system can be a little more complex, so deeper allegory, deeper explanations, with some adult themes weaved in here and there. The magic system in these types of books tends to evolve over the course of the series, so there is world building in this. So there are perhaps some social and cultural, maybe even religious aspects that come about. Some of these are standalones, some of these are series. Hind's Feet on High Places. This is a story of endurance, persistence, and reliance on God. This book has inspired millions to become sure-footed in their faith, even when facing the rockiest terrain. And so this is a beautiful, beautiful edition that I read with Krista's nonfiction read-along last year, and we had a wonderful time. But this is a biblical allegory that's based on this scripture, Habakkuk. Lord have mercy. I'm gonna put it on the screen. The Lord is my strength, and he will make my feet like hinds feet, and he will make me to walk upon mine high places. This starts off with Much Afraid in the valley and her journey to the high places following the Good Shepherd, and it is just so beautiful. The allegory, the faith, and so I definitely would consider this more of a Christian allegory, fantastical, based on scripture. So if you want something that is whimsical but yet has a very deep rooted biblical truths in them, this is it. The Kingdom of Light by Octavia Mason. I would consider this more of an urban fantasy, and by that I mean fantastical elements set in our world as we know it. So kind of think like the MCU, Marvel, and everything like that. All that happening in New York and Los Angeles and everything. This falls into that category. Which kingdom will you stand for? Choosing light isn't easily done, not when the dark is known as murk. Superhuman monsters bent on destroying the world, not when their light grows dimmer day after day, and not when the line dividing evil and good, death and life begins to disappear. As superhuman abilities of electricity, regeneration, and more grow, as secret alliances between Murk and Lucian form, and as the dead resurfaces, one question remains: which kingdom will you stand for? I had a wonderful time with this. Has wonderful family dynamics as well. It follows 1 to 2 points of view, but there are quite a few other characters surrounding the main points of views that you follow. So yeah, so do keep that in mind. But the magic is different with electricity, and I really had a lot of fun just see, you know, this fantastical world and these fantastical elements play out in the real world, and I just had a great time with it. The faith was good. I still think about it. I feel like I might want to reread it again. Let me know if any of these books that you see you might want to read for the Purple Pages book club. Put your recommendations in the comments down below. Honey, heart of red, blood of blue. Listen, this one right here is a standalone. It is pretty intense as well for a standalone, and I ended up giving this 5 stars because the ending just took your girl out. A girl on the run, a kingdom to save. Can a girl who started the war find a way to end it? Gisela was born without color, albino. To add to this curse, her betrothal to Prince Jarek of Kronga ends in his death and starts a 10-year war her father is determined to win. Desperate, her father agrees to another alliance that involves her marrying an old brute of a king. Thrown into the center of battle between 3 kingdoms, she finds herself fighting for her life and the right to be truly loved. This has all of the things. If the introduction seemed a little too light-footed for you, this is a great place to start. Everything is resolved. There is no commitment other than to finish this book. Come on, come on, come on. The Wishers effect is so real. When I tell y'all this book had me in the utter chokehold. It might be time for a reread. This is by Nadine Brandes. I read this in 2023. This ended up being my favorite book of 2023. This is when I knew that the Christian fantasy genre was changing and so many amazing books were coming to the forefront. I needed to get my reading life together. The biblical allegory, the faith in this, the YA angst, the romance, the magic system. Mirth was born with the ability to turn her tears into wishes, but when a granted wish goes wrong, she is cursed. The next tear she sheds will kill her. She must travel to the well. Yes, God. Hallelujah. Thank you, God. You are the living well, Lord. To break the curse before it can claim her life and before the king's military finds her. To survive the journey, Myrrh must harden her heart to keep herself from crying even a single tear. Mirth as a character, her whole story arc is just so beautifully realized. This is a very grounded, gray character. She makes a lot of mistakes and their consequences. The stakes are so high. There's only one book, so the commitment is low, but man, the ending makes you just want more. I love this book so much. If you don't know, now you know. The Oath of the Brotherhood, the Song of Shira. Back in the day, I was saying Seir, but that's not how you say it. So this is a Celtic inspired Christian fantasy, and how fun is that? I've always been drawn to Celtic folklore, so to find something that is inspired by the Christian faith, I ate it up, and I had a wonderful time with this series. When evil threatens, who will find the faith to fight it? In an island kingdom where the old ways hold fast and a man's word lies entirely in his skill with the sword, Connor is a musician and a follower of the forbidden faith. Problematic for any man, but disastrous for the son of the king. Only by leaving both kingdoms behind and committing himself to an ancient warrior brotherhood can Connor discover the part he's meant to play in Shira's future. This does have at least 2 points of view, a map, and an expansive character list. When I see a map, I get excited. Recorder. Oh my goodness. This is a Christian sci-fi. And if you don't know, Dune is one of my favorite books of all time. And this is giving a lot of inspiration from Dune. I love Recorder as a character. Recorder has no family, no friends, no name. Donated to the consortium before birth. Her sole purpose is to maintain and verify record. A neural implant and drone ensure compliance, punishing for displays of bias. Suddenly cut off from controlling technology, Recorder tastes what it means to be human. But if the consortium discovers her feelings, everyone she knows will be in danger. With no name and no resources, and only an infinitesimal possibility for escape, Recorder's time is running out. I loved it so much. I buddy read it with my girl Bethany. Hey girl, hey. From what I've read so far, there was so much involved in this. This can be more so into the deep dive as well. There are quite a few flashbacks and sci-fi terms, so it definitely can be a little harder to navigate through if you're not already used to having those multiple points of views and navigating through some of the sci-fi terms. But the character work in this, relationship dynamics, I am just so excited to continue. This might be where you can start, but love a nice space opera, don't we? Wolf Soldier by James R. Hannibal, the Light Raider Academy, book 1. I had so much fun reading this as well. The fate of the Dragonlands are at play. The Knights of the Light Raider Order disappeared nearly 2 generations past. A shepherd boy named Connor and 4 young initiates rekindle the fires of the Light Raider Order in the hope of striking out across the mountains to destroy a portal and stop an impending invasion. Connor learns the keys to success with a missing Light Raider spy and his lifelong companion. The dangers in the secret has both trust and loyalty, and to save his homeland, Connor may have to sacrifice his innermost dreams. I think this is really good for teen readers, if not young adult readers as well. The magical setting of winter and the swords, and the farm boy goes on an adventure and he becomes the unlikely hero. It's just such a wonderful journey. The audiobook was so much fun with this as well. Mark of the Raven by Morgan L. Bussey. This is kind of like a gothic fantasy dream walking mystic. If you enjoy like gothic romance or noir gothic romance, I think you're really going to enjoy this, because this is kind of this tone and the atmosphere of it. It's a little mysterious and alluring and a bit unsettling as well. Dreamwalker, Night Watcher. Lady Selene has come into her family's power, but has she inherited a gift or a curse? Lady Selene is the heir of Ravenwood and the secret family gift of dreamwalking. As a dreamwalker, she can enter a person's dreams and manipulate their greatest fears or desires. Soon after the gifting, Selene discovers that the Ravenwood women have been secretly using their gift to gather information or to assassinate those responsible for the fall of the House of Ravenwood. As she becomes more entrenched in the Ravenwood's dark past, Celine longs to find out the true reason behind her family's gifts. Will she choose? And is she willing to pay the price for the path chosen? This is amazing. I love this series so much. Cliffhanger after cliffhanger. The romance is a bit more at the forefront of the story, but it has all of those other fantastical elements as well, and the dream walking magic and the family factions and the different elements in the world and the culture and some politics as well, but not too many folk politicking, but it's enough politics. I had a great time. And last but certainly not least, The Chaos Grid by Lindsay Lulin. I had so much fun. This is a sci-fi steampunk fantasy, and the allegory in this is pretty interesting. I had to check in with somebody because it went way past me, and so I was like, wow, that's a good allegory. Even aside from that, this is such a fun, clean, cyberpunk fantasy. I mean, look at her blue hair. It's just giving all of the things. Book 2 comes out later this summer. Edited Chrissie gonna let you know. Cross the grid, survive the storms, let your destiny burn. When mankind's attempts to control nature backfire, Texas descends into a wasteland. Storms rage and ravenous beasts roam the outer grid. The only safe haven rests inside the tech-obsessed domed city. But when her parents are murdered inside the Plex City dome, 17-year-old Juniper Conway wants revenge. Ties to her extended family threaten to pull her back as she runs from city to city. Saving the city who orphaned her goes against everything she stands for. The only way out is to brave the wasteland. Juniper joins a shipping crew fearless enough to transport food across the outer grid. But when a string of bad luck turns lethal, she fears something or someone is dragging her back to the Plex. Y'all, this was an adventure. Give me my boba and let me escape. Sci-fi, steampunk, but you know, I think it's set in 2043, honey. Look at this cool map here too. Isn't that so cool? 224. My goodness. That's a long ways away, child. The final category, deep dive. Books in this category have more than 3 points of view. The magic system is very, very complex with multiple magical layers. There are usually at minimum 3 or more books in this series. There are very complex cultural, social, and political dynamics that move the plot forward and that also impact the magic system. So there are a lot of moving parts with these types of stories. There are usually adult themes as well. So more so catered to an adult audience as you read more in the series. There's a lot more terminology. There's a lot more hard science fiction if it's a science fiction book. And if it's a fantasy book, the magic system is very, very complex with appendices and more maps and probably a lot more ethereal psychological theories. Also, there might be a bit more complex. I need some water, Lord. Hold on. More complex allegory as well. This is where I live. A lot of these books, I have not finished this series, but I'm in the middle of some of these. If all that was still a little lightweight, welcome in. The Pilgrim's Progress. Pilgrim's Progress is a classic treasured allegory, the story of Christian and the soul-threatening dangers he encounters on his journey to the celestial city. On the onset, it seems like it's pretty straightforward allegory. But as Christian goes along his journey, it becomes very complex, very layered. There are so many biblical truths that are just grounded in this story, in this beautifully told allegory tale of the Christian's journey, and very transformative to read. Illustrations as well. And I love me a glossy page too, now that I think about it. Pilgrim's Progress, definitely a classic. So halfway through, allegory just explodes. I was sitting there really contemplating and thinking about like what Holy Spirit was speaking to me at each juncture of Christian's journey. And it caused me to reflect upon my journey as well. Cross Academy by Felicity Elaine. This is book 1 in a Christian fantasy series. Although I don't plan on continuing this series, I definitely want to share with you because I think there's going to be fantasy. I think there is an audience for this type of book, and I think it would be very interesting and refreshing read, especially if you're coming out of more darker secular books. I think this is a great entry point into adjusting to some of the Christian themes as well. The Fire Tribe has stood the test of time. When the spiritual realm cracked open and demons crawled forth in hordes, the children of the sun were not afraid. They had a blessing from God, power in its finest form. But the Fire Tribe took pride in their power and in their protection. Nothing could harm them. But once the walls crumbled and demons entered the village for the first time, the Fire Tribe was in danger. Thankfully, Hunters of the Cross arrived just in time. The Cross Academy trains those with exceptional blessings. Hunters of the Cross are the legends of the old. Definitely a lot more grimy, dark, but I definitely wanted to mention it just in case it sounded more up your alley. Skin Nap by Stephen Lawhead. This is so much fun. This is like Indiana Jones meets space-time travel meets cozy coffee shop meets reluctant hero, farm boy on a search, pool wizard. It just has so much in it. It's Stephen Lawhead. So there you go. I know the title seems very off-putting, and I know the back of it is gonna seem even more. It is an element to that, but it's not grimy dark really at all. It's actually quite lighthearted and very introspective. Kit Livingston's great-grandfather appears to him in a deserted alley during a tumultuous storm. He reveals an unbelievable story, that the ley lands throughout Britain are not merely the stuff of legend or the weekend hobby of deluded cranks, but pathways to other worlds. Those who know how to use them, they grant the ability to travel the multi-layered universe of which we ordinarily inhabit only a tiny part. One explorer knew more than most. Braving every danger, he toured both time and space on voyages of heroic discovery. Ever on his guard and fearful of becoming lost in the cosmos, he developed an intricate code, a roadmap of symbols that he tattooed on his body. This skin map has since been lost in time. Now the race is on to recover all the pieces and discover its secrets. Oh my goodness, this was just a hoot of a time. I just finished book 2 in this series, and I'm looking forward to continuing a lot of historical aspects, a lot of magical realism, a lot of different characters. So you're going to be introduced to quite a few characters throughout this book and into the series that may not make sense at first, but go along on the adventure. And Stephen, he's going to help you. He'll help. It will all become clear when you get to the end. Y'all know I had to put Ted Dekker up here at least one time. This was the first fantasy book, that Christian fantasy book that I read many years ago, and I loved it so much, but I definitely wanted to share it with you. The story of Julian Carter and my precious 2-year-old son, Stephen, left Atlanta, Georgia, and found ourselves on a white sailboat tossed about like a cork on a raging sea off Australia's northern tip in 1963. But it pales in comparison to what happened deep in the jungle, where I was taken as a slave by a savage tribe unknown to the world. There, one life ended, so another began. I feel like I want to read it now. But it's set in our modern world, in the jungle, and all of perhaps the magical realism elements that happen, as well as the faith that is explored here. And I think this is a fun adventure. It only follows a couple of points of view, but it's very immersive and imaginative and provocative. The Blaze of Akhtar. Oh my goodness. I love this series so much, y'all. This is book 1 in The Blaze of Akhtar. This is a 5-book series. I've read the first 3 books. This starts off intense, but definitely more YA. But by the time you get into the series, book 2 and 3 take it into the adult level. There's exploration of greed. The biblical allegory is so refreshing and grounded, Christ-centric. I loved it so much. Family dynamics, the romance, the grimy dark of it all. It just has so many amazing elements, and I highly recommend this. A blade never fails his mission. Sir Blade Lee never questions his orders to his loyalty to King Respin, till an arrow wound and a prairie blizzard drive him to the doorstep of the girls whose family he once destroyed. Their forbidden faith and ties to the resistance could devastate their family a second time. Survival depends on obedience, but freedom beckons. How far does he dare go to resist the king and his blade. No matter what Leith chooses, one thing is certain: someone will die. Editing Chrissy here. I wanted to also add to Blades of Akatar that is actually considered a non-magical fantasy. So with this, there is not a magical system, but it is set in a magical world, kind of near Regency type setting. I definitely wanted to clarify that because I forgot to mention that, y'all. That's kind of important. Non-magical fantasy. So if magical elements not your thing, it's not even in this series. Y'all, no one's safe. This is a gut punch in the most amazing way. I gave it 5 stars. I've gave every book I've read 5 stars. Following very closely, Resistance, the Ilion Chronicles. Oh my goodness. One of those books that just punches you in the gut. What I really loved about this are the family dynamics explored through the perceptions of faith and those who are in the faith, those who are not. The resistance is rising and the king wants everyone to serve him. Could God ever love a half-blood all of society looks upon with such fear and disdain? Jace once believed so, but when a tragic loss shatters the only peace he's ever known, his faith crumbles as the nagging doubts he's tried to put behind him descend on his grieving heart. Taken from his home at a young age and raised to serve the emperor, Kyrian lives every day under a dangerous pretense of loyalty. After her unique observation skills and a perfect memory place her into direct service to the emperor, Kyrian finds herself in further jeopardy. With their lives traveling paths they never could have imagined, Jace and Kyrian must fight to overcome their own fears and conflicts with society as they become part of the resistance. There are magical elements or fantastical elements. So you have a character who is considered half human, half another race. They're different races, they're different cultures. Well, so if that's something that you find fascinating or you'd rather not have any magic system, this is it. But definitely keep in mind, this is definitely more for the adult. It is grimy dark. There are some very unlikable characters and there's some great character motivations as well. So this has all of the things. I love this series so much. I cannot wait to finish it. 6 books in this series. I'm on book 3. I have got a lot of reading to do. Fantastic. The Nightmare Virus by Nadine Brandes. I know Nadine got 3 books. Honey, she had a book in each category. I gave this 5 stars. I love this so much. This one is for the nerds. If you're definitely into sci-fi fantasy, if it's your bag, this is the book for you. This is completely different from Wistress, and Wistress is completely different from Fox. Nadine be out here writing the books that the Lord gives her on her heart, and she just let her pen take her away. Some viruses go after the body, but the Nightmare Virus goes after the mind. When dream technology goes wrong, a virus spreads across the globe, trapping people in an universal dreamscape. They call it the Nightmare Virus. Kane Cross is determined to find a cure, but when he gets infected, he has only 22 days until he's trapped in the mental prison forever. Now, every time he falls asleep, he must fight in a nightmare arena until he earns his freedom to live in the new world that exists only in his mind. There's so many elements that are explored in this. A great character, and I really love how Nadine writes grimy dark gray characters. I love how she explores faith in this book. It is definitely intense. It has a lot of war. Think Gladiator meets RPG video game, just any kind of nerdy fandom. It's giving that, and I ate it up. There's really not much of a romance plot at all in this. Fun sci-fi leaning fantastical biblical allegory. It has all of it. Winter's Maiden. The pied de resistance. But see, she wrote this for the adult. Even though our main character Brigitte is 17 years old, everything that she's navigating through is full on adult in the sense of greed, poverty, exploration, of turmoil within the soul, war, Nordic Viking type war, set in a Nordic world. It has all the elements that I love. I read it in one sitting. I'll link the vlog in the description down below. Warrior, survivor, daughter of the North. From the moment she is born, Brigitte fights to survive in the wastelands of Nordica as a clanless one. But when a new power arrives offering a trial to join the Nordic warriors, Brigitte enters, hoping to rise above her station. Soon, she becomes one of the fiercest fighters and joins the war against the South. Cadian carries the blood of the ancient Elden race in his veins, but turns away from his heritage after the death of his parents. Years later, he's called back to his homeland and invited to be a healer for the Southern forces. As Cadian interacts with the enemy, he discovers there's a darkness behind the Nordic wars, one that is manipulating the people of the North. But who will believe him? And is there power strong enough to break the hold of his hidden adversary? Or will the world burn to flames? These two characters' lives intersect in such a beautiful way, and I loved it. I cannot wait for the second book. The writing is just so beautiful, right up my alley. Wonderful time. Zero G's Part 1, The Armor Eternal. I did mention this Christian fiction recommendation video. Did want to mention it again just in case, honey John, you ain't got time to go back and watch that video. This is an indie published Earth in 2045 following a devastating global economic collapse. Civilization struggles on. Christians everywhere proclaim the meltdown to be the Great Tribulation, but instead of a rescuing rapture, they came on the scene to save us. The messengers turned the lights back on, cleaned up the radiation, stopped the pandemics, but a handful of Christians suspect that these extraterrestrials might not be the benevolent benefactors they claim to be. Earth's foremost robotic scientist was one such believer. Now he is gone. To his only son, he leaves behind two things. The first is a way to fight back, and in the form of an armored exosuit, possibly humanity's last and only hope. The second is a hastily scrawled message. Son, they are stealing our gravity. What high-powered sci-fi book. Definitely worth a reread given the things that are happening today. This is a duology. I hope there's a book 3. So book 2 does leave you hanging on a cliff. It leaves you hanging. Aliens, exosuits, Christian allegory, urban science fiction. So adventurous. Nobody is safe. Time for another water break, y'all. Chuck Black. I hope y'all didn't think I was gonna get all the way through this video and not talk about Chuck Black. If you don't know, I really need you to get to know him. The Star-Lord legacy. This is a hard science fiction, the biblical allegory of the entire Bible. We're currently up to book 6. Or no, book 7. We're Creed. And I am unwell. I have not read book 7 yet, but I have read the first 6 books and I read them all in the same year. I highly recommend this if science fiction is your bag. There is a lot of hard science fiction terminologies and space battles and flight panels, and that can be quite overwhelming for someone who's not necessarily exposed to those types of terms, but it's such a wild ride. The audiobook is so much. Dacian was born of royal blood, and all of his plans are falling into place now that his performance flying the legendary Starcraft at the Academy places him as the second-ranking cadet in his class. Only his cousin, the prince, ranks higher, but a chance encounter with a lowly Starcraft mechanic shatters his perfect plan. The mysterious Raviel intersects his life, and everything he thought he knew about himself, his family, his planet, and his exposed as a fraud and with no one to trust, he must flee and search for the truth. A truth that will change his life and the future of the galaxy forever. For the immortals are watching. The faith in this is so fully realized. And what I appreciate about Chuck Black is that he stays true to the biblical narrative. His desire is not to expand upon it, to replace it, but to incentivize the reader to go back to the scripture, to remember the gospel of Christ and the word of God from the beginning all the way to the end. You think the allegory is going one way, but it turns it on its head. Exciting, it's action-packed, it's adventurous, nobody's saved. There's romance as well, there's love, there's found family. It's just, it wrecks me. I was crying. I love it so much. Please read it. The Facade by the late Michael S. Heiser. Michael Heiser was a biblical teacher and historian that has since gone on to be with the Lord, but he left us with an awesome sci-fi duology, which I absolutely love. This is very very intense. It has some very interesting themes in it as well. But this was just such a wonderful time. Definitely more on the grimy dark side, government conspiracies, who did it, I don't know, cover-ups. This is book 1 in the 2-book series, and I just highly recommend. Haunted by his parents' death and his career failures, Dr. Brian Scott has begun to settle for the life he has been given until he's recruited. Kidnapped by military insiders known as the Group, Brian joins a team of world-class scholars working on a confidential initiative. Their mission? To prepare humankind for a new reality. They are here. As the team is briefed on the government's involvement with extraterrestrials, strange things begin to happen. Unpeeling layer after layer of deception and counter-deception, Brian moves toward a shocking revelation that will forever alter how humankind sees itself. This is intense. I'm not gonna hold you. Proceed with caution, but it was such a fun time. And last but certainly not least, Taliesin by Stephen Lawhead. Listen, multiple authors, multiple spots in the categories. What can I say? It really shows their variety and their depth of skill with writing amazing stories. If Stephen Lawhead, Taliesin, this is the Christian Arthurian retelling I have been waiting for. But this just hits all of the notes. High fantasy, magical world building. This is classic fantasy at its finest. You're just coming out of secular fantasy and you're looking for something that has that Tad Williams, Robin Hobb. I think this is a fantastic place to start with. It's the time of legend when the last shadows of the mighty Roman conqueror faded from the captured Isle of Britain, while across the vast sea, bloody war shattered a peace that has flourished for 2,000 years in the doomed kingdom of Atlantis. Fleeing the terrible devastation of her homeland, the Atlantean princess Charis pursued a remarkable destiny that would lead her to Taliesin. Fable seer and druid prince, and the two worlds were united by a mythic love forged in the fires of chaos. At its heart, this is a beautiful romance story. I felt swept away. Multiple characters. A lot of it doesn't make sense on the onset, but that is definitely a deep dive type of story. Dive in, you see where it goes, follow along the parameters of the magical sci-fi fantastical world of the light, and see where it ends. And I believe it's like 4 or 5 books in this series. Looking forward to finishing it soon. So now I want to share some books that are on my radar. Very briefly, we're going to get into these real quick. X to the Nth Power by Clint Townsend. A Perfect World begins with perfect humans. A Crown of Chains by Aaron Phillips. I'm currently reading this. I'm not that far. I'm only like 10% into it. And this is a fantastical retelling of the story of Esther. And it has fairies adjacent to the biblical narrative. And so that's different. I don't think I've read a book like this before. Fairies are not my go-to fantastical element, but I'm liking it so far. I haven't DNF'd it, so that's good news. West of the Dragon's Princess. Look at the cover. Also wrote The Coming One, which I will talk about in my Christian fiction recommendation video. True love, high and high adventure have never been so funny. I mean, there's a dragon. There's a girl who doesn't know her destiny. What more do I need to know? What do you get when you cross a dragon with? Actually, on second thought, it's probably best not to cross a dragon. That goes double for crossing his princess, despite the perks of having her very own dragon. Princess Samantha laments not having a true love, so she sets off alone on a magical quest to find her Prince Charming. Of course, there's an assortment of giants, ogres, dark knights, enchantresses, and the usual halabadoo in her way. Knowing the perils of such a journey, a dishonored knight and the aforementioned not to be crossed dragon set off to protect the spirited princess. Prepare to laugh, cry, and I don't know, cough through the best romance, adventure, comedy, fairy tale for whatever side of happily ever after you are on. What a fun blurb. If I haven't read it already, I'm definitely planning on reading this and sharing my thoughts. Very lighthearted, you know. In the Wood by Alyssa Zalvianos, a tragic tale of love, loss, and hope. Magic and deceit are forbidden, and to practice any form of them could lead to death. Holland doesn't know who she is. You know we love a girl who don't know her destiny. That's a trope I love. For reasons she can't explain, she's drawn to the tragic story, The Tale of Indlewood, seeking to leave home to find where she belongs, even if it means disguising her identity, an action that can cost her everything. Will Holland find where she truly belongs? I'm here for it. This has been newly released, Ember Gold by Rachel Nielsen. It's a dragon. Guild has spent her life isolated in the wild marshlands, a place too wet for the dragon to go. She's safe there according to her father. So why is he asking her to leave with him now that she has come of age? Betrayed and shattered, she wakes in a crumbling mountain castle with the beast of her nightmares, except this dragon speaks like a human and reads books. His kindness confuses her and opens a forgotten longing in her heart, all while plans her escape from a mountain full of secrets. Actually sounds like a Rapunzel / Beauty and the Beast telling with dragons. These little girls stay not knowing what their destiny is. Above the Circle of the Earth, highly anticipating. It recently came out this year. The fight for the space mission begins in his homeworld. Rock Rivers never wanted to be a repairman on Mars. Years ago, he failed to protect his family, and now he labors across a frontier planet to keep his children alive. But the spacefaring humanist regiment is taking over Martian colonies, forcing all to join the secular state. Back in Brock's homeworld, his people summon him to fulfill old hopes with a new dream. After decades of cultural isolation, they plan to restore missions for the 22nd century, voyaging beyond Earth to share the gospel in space. Brock must find a ship and recruit a team of misfit believers. They expect opposition from the formidable cause. One adversary attacks from the shadows to destroy the faithful. Others unify to oppose the project. Brock and his family must fight to resist these enemies of the space mission, else return to exile. This sounds epic. What? This is given the things and we know it. Play, win, survive. There's one building on her island that Haley has never visited, the Mercenary House. The house is rumored to be a breeding ground for criminals. At the WarSafe headquarters in Seattle, Roscoe is beta testing the company's new video game. It's her job to track down the glitches, but something is different about this one. Lurking behind the scenes of malfunctioning code, the secret that threatens to drag her deeper into the game. Uncover the island's secret and expose WarSafe's design. We're super duper sci-fi nerdy. Ooh, Merlin's Blade. Listen, I'm always looking for an Arthurian retelling. I know I got Taliesin, but listen, this seems to be focusing on Merlin and we love it. Before the Round Table, before Arthur was crowned, there was Merlin. That's all I need to know. Newly released by Brian Davis, The Sacred Scales, Dragons of Camelot. Can y'all blame me? A boy with a precious dragon scale, an orphan girl with glowing skin, and a kingdom on the verge of war with dragons. That's all I need to know. The Dream Keeper Saga, The Dragon and the Stone. Dragon adjacent TBR. It's nothing but dragon books on here, y'all. Dang, you gotta know what you know. 12-year-old Lily discovers a dragon eating her dinner and her late father's stone pendant glowing like fire around her neck. She tells herself it's only her imagination. Then one day, she's transported to a new dimension filled with evil shrouds, harpies, and other magical creatures. She's embarked on an undeniable quest. Farm Girl on an Adventure. A Time to Die by Nadine Brandes. How would you live if you knew day you die? What kind of premise is this? Choco. Arvin Blackwater believes she has wasted her life. At only 17, she has 1 year left according to the clock by her bedside. In a last-ditch effort to make a difference, she tries to rescue radicals from the government's crooked justice system. But when the authorities find out Arvin's illegal activity, they cast her through the wall. Her people's death sentence. What she finds on the other side of the world about eternity and about herself changes Parvin forever, but her clock is running out. I'm all in. The Wing Feather Saga. On the Edge of the Dark Sea of Darkness. Heard amazing things about this series. Adventure, peril, lost jewels, and the fearsome toothy cows of Screed. Ooh! Are we cooking them cows or what? Look at the maps in it. Oh man. This is just... I'm here for it. Andrew Peterson spins a riveting tale for all ages, following Janner, Tink, and Lily Igby and their trusty dog Nugget as they escape from the vicious fangs of Dang. That sounds so fun already. Quirky characters and their world of wonders from the edge of the dark sea of darkness to the deadly Glipwood forest and beyond set the stage for this epic adventure. Oh man, I am here for it. And last but certainly not least, The Light of Eden. Amazing things about Karen Hancock. I have yet to read any of her book. This is giving a bit of an Arthurian retelling. Abram has dedicated the last 8 years of his life to becoming worthy to touch and tend the sacred flame, and he expects to be blessed for his devotion and sacrifice. But on the eve of taking the vows that will irrevocably separate him from the life he was born to as Abram, son of the king of Kyrith, he's betrayed by his spiritual mentor and sold into slavery by his brothers. Swept along by the winds of new destiny, Abram is forced to compete as a gladiator. When the oppressed masses rally around his success, he discovers his suffering has molded him into something greater than he ever thought possible. Wow, I'm hearing a lot of allegory. A little Joshua, a little Joseph, a little Samson. I think I have the whole series now as well, so I'm looking forward to reading it. I believe 3 or 4 books in this series. It's giving all the things. Well, take a pan of that. I'm pretty sure you ate all of your snacks by now. I hope this video helped you narrow in on your fantastical and sci-fi reading taste. I hope you also found some great recommendations and perhaps maybe got some courage to step into the next category. And I pray your TBR is 15 books in the surplus. It has been such an amazing journey, and the journey continues. There's so many great books still left to read, so many I wanted to share with you that I haven't shared yet. So stay tuned to the channel. More fantasy recommendations coming in the by and by. I pray as you read any of these books that the Holy Spirit reveal himself to you in a new way, that he strengthen your resolve to move forward in faith, and that if you hold on to his unchanging hand, honey, he can make anything come true. 10 years ago, I never would have thought I would have this many options of amazing Christian, Christ-focused fantasy sci-fi books to read. So I thank all of the authors that are willing to take a step out and to share the stories that the Lord has given to them from their imagination, from their hearts and their spirits. And keep writing, authors, keep writing. We need these kinds of stories. They're out there, and I'm going to be reading them, and I hope you do too. May the Lord bless and keep you. May his face shine upon you, give you hope and peace for the days and the times ahead. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.